Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Professor Panchapakeshan from the University of Delhi. Today we are going to discuss about the module Perturbation Theory. It is from the paper on radiation theory in the physics course. After studying this module, you will learn what is electromagnetic interaction and its strength. You will learn why perturbation theory can be applied for most of the processes involving charged particles and radiation field. You will learn how the quantum theory of radiation is applied to absorption and emission of light by electrons in atoms using perturbation theory. You will learn what is time-dependent perturbation theory and the transition probability per unit time. Whenever light radiation is incident on matter, it shows a lot of interesting processes. It can be scattered, it can be absorbed, or it can eject electrons out of the atom and ionize the atom. It is seen that the effective size of the atom is around 10 raised to the power minus 8 centimeters. Time-dependent perturbation theory. As the total Hamiltonian H can be written in two parts, H naught plus Hi. This module is on perturbation theory, an extremely crucial and important part of the whole field theory and the way we discuss field theory and solutions of the equation. We start with the Schrödinger equation for matter interacting with electromagnetic waves. For electrons, the Schrödinger equation is given by p squared by 2m plus v operating on psi is equal to E psi. The operators are defined by d mu has the zeroth component is d0 and the other component is delta, and here minus I delta is equal to p vector, and a mu is the scalar potential phi and minus I the 3 vector potential. The Schrödinger equation of the electron in the presence of the electromagnetic waves is obtained by replacing d mu by the covariant derivative, namely d mu plus I E a mu, or p vector by p vector minus E a vector, and p naught by p naught minus E a naught vector, where E is the charge of the electron. This gives us the following Schrödinger equation: p vector minus E a squared divided by 2m plus v plus E phi, the whole thing operating on psi, is equal to E psi. We shall take a vector as the quantized field vector, and the scalar potential phi is taken in the electron-coulomb interaction term, as it is not quantized in this Coulomb gauge, which is where we are working. If n electrons of an atom participate in the interaction of the total Hamiltonian H, it satisfies the equation H psi equal to E psi, where H, the Hamiltonian, is given by summing over the particle j equal to 1 to n, the whole thing multiplied by an expression 1 by 2 mj into pj vector minus E into a vector operating at the point xj, whole squared, plus I greater than j going up to n, the Coulomb term, namely Ei Ej by x minus xj, plus half E vector squared plus B vector squared d cubed x. The E vector squared is E transverse vector squared, and this gives the total energy in the electromagnetic field. We have E vector is equal to Et, which is equal to minus a vector dot, and phi is 0 in the radiation gauge or the Coulomb gauge. B vector is curl of A as usual. We now write the Hamiltonian into two parts, H naught and Hi. H naught is for the original Hamiltonian and Hi is for the interaction part, where the original Hamiltonian H naught is equal to sum over j equals 1 to n, pj vector squared by twice mj plus I greater than j over n, Ei Ej over x minus xj, plus half into d cubed x, E vector squared plus B vector squared. And the interaction part Hi is equal to summation over j equal to 1 to n into minus E divided by 2mj, the whole thing multiplied by pj vector into a vector plus A vector dot Pj vector plus E squared by 2mj into A vector squared. The first part of H naught is the particle kinetic energy plus the instantaneous Coulomb interaction, and the last term is the electromagnetic field energy. Also, as divergence of A is equal to 0, so P vector dot A equal to A vector dot into P, the third term vanishing because of the divergence A equal to 0 part. Hi is equal to sum over j equals 1 to n minus E by mj into Pj vector dot A vector xj plus E squared by 2mj into A vector squared. Quantized electromagnetic field then enters the picture in the following way. We've already studied the quantization of the electromagnetic field using the radiation or the Coulomb gauge. As studied earlier, the vector potential operator A vector x vector t in Heisenberg picture is written as A vector is equal to integral over d cubed k over 2 pi 3 by 2 into exponential times omega k, summation over polarizations lambda equal to 1 and 2, multiplied by epsilon k lambda, the polarization part, into ak exponential minus ikx plus a dagger k exponential plus ikx, where k naught is of course omega, which is also the magnitude of the k vector. K squared k mu is equal to 0. Epsilon k1 and epsilon k2 are two unit polarization vectors orthogonal to k vector. The vectors epsilon k1 and epsilon k2 and k form a right-hand system as shown in the diagram. We shall denote them by epsilon 1, epsilon 2 and k, dropping the k dependence of epsilon lambda. Also, epsilon lambda dotted with epsilon lambda prime is delta of lambda lambda prime. They are orthogonal to each other unless they are same. And epsilon lambda of I and j component summed over all lambda is equal to delta of ij minus ki kj divided by k squared. The creation and annihilation operators a dagger k lambda and ak lambda satisfy ak a dagger is a delta function of both k and lambda. ak and a dagger k are 0, they vanish. For the state with nk lambda particles denoted by ket of nk lambda, we have ak lambda operating on nk lambda is equal to square root of nk lambda into nk lambda minus 1, and a k prime lambda prime operating on nk lambda is equal to square root of nk lambda into nk lambda minus 1 times delta cubed of k minus k prime into delta lambda prime. That is, the two delta functions come in when you take a different k prime. More importantly, a dagger k lambda operating on nk lambda is equal to nk lambda plus 1 the whole square root multiplied by ket vector of nk lambda plus 1. So it takes the nk lambda ket into nk lambda plus 1 ket. Similarly, a dagger k prime operating on this is the same thing with an extra delta function which involves k minus k prime and lambda lambda prime. Each a vector being linear in ak lambda and a dagger k, it will either destroy or create a photon. Thus, E into P vector dot A term creates or destroys one photon, while E squared into a dagger term creates or destroys two photons, or creates one photon and destroys one photon, which is due to the presence of a dagger or a dagger terms. The AA term destroys two particles. From the above relations 3.6, 3.11a, 3.12a, we have a dagger x is equal to integral of d cubed k prime by 2 pi 3 by 2 into 2 omega k under root, summation over lambda prime equal to 1 to 2, epsilon lambda prime k prime is equal to a k prime into exponential minus I k prime x into a dagger k prime into exponential plus I k prime x, the whole thing operating on the ket nk lambda. And this gives us two terms, one with the ket nk lambda minus 1, the other with the ket nk lambda plus 1. The coefficient of the ket with nk lambda minus 1 is square root of nk lambda, whereas the coefficient of one with the ket nk lambda plus 1 is equal to square root of nk lambda plus 1. And the whole expression is multiplied by 1 over 2 pi 3 by 2 into epsilon lambda divided by square root of twice omega k. Hence, minus summation over j E over mj p vector dot A operating on nk lambda vector gives us two terms again with nk lambda minus 1 ket and nk lambda plus 1 ket. Taking j equal to 1 for our case of 1 electron in hydrogen atom, combining equation 313 with appropriate kets, the matrix element for absorption is then given by the vacuum expression value of Hi with the bra of B nk lambda minus 1 and the ket of A nk lambda. This is equal to minus E over m 2 pi raised to the power 3 by 2 nk lambda by twice omega k square root and an expectation value between the B ket and the A ket of exponential ikx and p vector dot epsilon lambda vector, the whole thing multiplied by exponential minus I omega kt. And matrix element for emission, therefore, by emission we mean where the ket nk lambda goes to the ket nk lambda plus 1. This is given by minus E over m 2 pi 3 by 2 nk lambda plus 1 by twice omega k, and the expectation value with bra B and ket A as exponential minus ikx into p vector dot epsilon lambda into exponential plus I omega kt. Equation 314 and 315, which give us the matrix elements for absorption and emission, are the two most important results of quantized radiation theory. As this Hamiltonian is independent, as this Hamiltonian is time dependent, the energy of the system is not conserved, and so there are no stationary states. In this case, we shall apply the time dependent perturbation theory. We shall assume that the unperturbed Hamiltonian H naught is time independent and forms the major part of the Hamiltonian and has stationary, orthogonal and complete set of states. Let psi k naught be the wave function of the Hamiltonian H naught. The wave function carries the time dependence. This is the Schrödinger picture. We assume that the interaction Hamiltonian Hi is small, a perturbation, compared to the H naught, and is time dependent and produces a change or mixing of the eigenwave functions of H naught. This is the Heisenberg picture for Hi or the interaction. The mixed picture for the whole Hamiltonian is called the interaction picture. It has both H naught and Hi. We next go on to discuss the time-dependent perturbation theory. We begin with the equation IH cross of d psi dt is equal to H naught plus Hi operating on psi. This is the total Schrödinger equation. In the form with psi equal to CKT into psi naught k, where psi is a superposition over different primary psi naught k's with coefficient of CKT. CKT are time dependent and psi k naught satisfies the equation, of course H cross and C are 1, with I d psi k naught of dt is equal to H naught psi k naught. So psi k naught or solutions of the unperturbed part of the Hamiltonian. Substituting psi from 4.2 into 4.1, we get I into ddt of CKT psi naught plus CKT of d psi k naught dt is equal to H naught plus Hi into CKT psi naught. If we use equation 5.3, the equation for the unperturbed part, this reduces to I psi k naught ddt of Ck is equal to Hi into Ckt of psi k naught. Multiplying both sides by psi naught n bar from the left and integrating over space, we get I summation over k integration over psi naught 0 into psi k naught d cubed x ddt of Ckt is equal to psi n0 bar Hi Ck into psi k naught d cubed x. Since psi n0 bar psi k naught d cubed x is equal to delta of nk, the orthonormality relation, we get on simplification I ddt of Cn is equal to Ckt into Hit. Hit nk is the matrix element of Hit between the states of n and k, the psi n and psi k, where Ht nk is equal to psi n naught Hit psi k naught d cubed x. Let the solution of the unperturbed equation be given by psi k naught is equal to ukx vector into exponential minus I en t. Then equation 4.6 becomes I ddt of Cnt summed over ckT hink exponential I by h cross en minus ekt. So we get the matrix element between n and k of hi as un star x vector into hit into ukx vector, the whole thing integrated over the volume d cubed x vector. The initial condition and expansion in powers of hi is the crucial expression which we get in the perturbation theory, and each expansion in the powers of hi are known as orders of the perturbation theory. Supposing now that the perturbation hi begins to act at time t equal to 0, and at t equal to 0, when the perturbation has not acted yet, let only one unperturbed state psi I 0 be there. This is usually called the initial condition. Also let Cnt be a sum of terms Cn0, Cn1, Cn2, all functions of t, with the general term being Cn of r, where the order of each term, denoted by the superscript, gives the number of factors of hi contained in it, which corresponds to the order of perturbation. Since hi is small compared to h naught, each order of hi is smaller than the other one by a factor hi. Therefore, this gives us a decreasing order in the perturbation theory. So the perturbation theory hopefully has terms which decrease as we go to the higher order terms. Substituting in equation 4.6b, this gives us a relation between Cnr plus 1 and Cnr, which is of the form IH cross ddt of Cnr plus 1 is equal to summation over all the states m with coefficient CMRT into hi, with the matrix element being between n and m of hi, and exponential I exponential n minus En. So the CNR gets contributions from every one of the states m and is summed over them. As Cn0 is equal to delta of ni, that means it is 0 unless it is equal to I, the equation 410 becomes in first order I ddt of Cn1t is equal to hit ni into exponential I en minus ei into t. On integration, we get Cn1t is equal to minus I integrated from 0 to t of dt prime with matrix element of hi between n and I and exponential I en minus ei t prime. So this is the first order term Cn1t. Generally from equation 410, we get Cn of r plus 1 is equal to minus I summation over m0 to t of hi nm exponential minus I en minus em into c of mr t prime, and there is a summation over all the m's. Second order term and the intermediate states. If Cn1t is equal to 0, then we go to the next second order, which is Cn2 is equal to minus I into summation over m integral from 0 to t of the matrix element hi between n and m exponential I en minus em t prime into cm1 t prime dt prime, which is equal to minus I squared into summation over m integral from 0 to t of hi matrix element nm into 0 to t prime exponential I en minus em into t double prime into dt of double prime into hi between m and I and exponential I em minus ei t prime dt prime. This is equal to minus I squared in integral over dt double prime from 0 to t and dt prime from 0 to t double prime, hi t double prime between n and m states and exponential I en minus em t double prime, and a matrix element of hi between m and I states exponential I em minus ei t prime, and so on. Equation 4.11 can be interpreted as transition in two stages. First from the state I to the state m, and next from the state m to the state t. Because we have two hi terms now, we have two transition matrix elements. The state m then can be conveniently called the intermediate states, because from the initial state I, you go first to the intermediate state m, and then you go to the final state, which is the end state. Transition probability and golden rule. On integration of equation 4.10a, we have Cn1t is equal to minus I with hi at the time t equal to 0 into exponential I En minus Ei minus plus omega t minus 1 divided by I En minus Ei minus plus omega, or Cn1 t mod squared is equal to hi at t equal to 0 whole squared matrix element between the states n and I, 2 into 1 minus cosine of En minus Ei minus plus omega t by h cross divided by En minus Ei minus plus omega. So the transition probability per unit time for large time is given as the limit of C1n t squared by t as the limit as t approaches infinity. So this is equal to the matrix element of hi 0 squared between the states n and I, and limit as time goes to infinity of 4 sine squared a certain factor divided by the same factor below whole squared without the time. Let En minus Ei minus plus omega into t by 2 be called capital X. Then the limit of Cn t whole squared by t is hi 0 squared matrix element ni into limit of 4 sine squared xt by 4 tx squared, which just becomes a delta function, which is equal to pi into hi 0 ni whole squared into delta of x vector, where we have used the fact that the pi into delta function of capital X is equal to limit as t tends to infinity of sine squared capital Xt divided by tx squared. This is equation 416. Thus the transition probability per unit time is given by omega ni limit as t tends to infinity is equal to Cn10 squared by t is equal to pi into hi matrix element between n and I whole squared into a delta function of En minus Ei minus plus omega by 2, which is the energy function. The probability omega ni is equal to 2 pi into hi 0 matrix element between n and I whole squared into the delta function of the energy En minus Ei minus plus omega. This equation, equation 417, we have a number of photon states lying in the range omega and omega plus d omega. So it has been integrated over the states in this region. So the transition probability to go to state n has to summed over all the states available for transition. As the energy interval is small, we assume that the matrix element is constant and multiply the transition probability equation 417 by the number of states in the small energy interval dE. That is the density of states. dNE is equal to rho E into dE, given by rho E dE is equal to k squared dk d omega into the volume V by 2 pi cubed. As omega k is equal to modulus of k and dk is equal to d omega is equal to dE, dk by dE is 1 in this case. Thus the density of states rho E is equal to vk squared into d omega into 2 pi cubed, which is equal to v omega squared d omega by 2 pi cubed. Thus the transition probability for emission of photons in the states omega and omega plus d omega is given by omega d omega is equal to 2 pi hi matrix element between n and I whole squared into rho E. This equation 418 was called the golden rule by Enrico Fermi. We will see its usefulness in the next module for absorption or decay of atom and for the scattering processes. In this module, we have studied the emission and absorption of photons by charged particles, which are the electrons in the atoms. It is seen that by treating electrons non-relativistically and describing photons by quantized radiation field, we obtain the transition probabilities per unit time by using the techniques of time-dependent perturbation theory. The application of expressions of transition probabilities under and for various processes like absorption, emission will be taken up in detail in the next few modules. Thank you so much.